Warning. Two Seals and a Walrus talks about the controversial subject matter of taking personal control of your mind and body, living an epic life, and giving absolutely zero fucks for anyone who would suggest you do otherwise. Thus, any discussions we have about anything, including disregarding the status quo, leading with compassion, and exploring personal and collective consciousness with the aid of controlled substances, is done for education and harm reduction purposes only. This meets YouTube's community guidelines and limitations for advertising revenue eligibility, but it's also common sense. P.S. We love you. Don't fuck that up.
Two Seals and a Walrus.
Hey, this is Two Seals and a Walrus podcast, episode number 2. But first, before we get started today, you need to know that we're not condoning any use of substances of any kind, ever. Don't eat, don't drink, no water, nothing.
Especially alcohol.
Yeah, don't do it. But I'm Sean Webb, and with me today, my co-hosts are Ben Johnson, U.S. Navy SEAL sniper medic, and Doug Moulton, who's also a U.S. Navy SEAL sniper. But here in podcast number 2, we're going to pick up where we left off in podcast 1. So if you're watching this as the first episode, you may want to go back and check episode 1, where we start the story of our trip deep into the jungles of the Amazon to swim with piranha, to pet wild monkeys, to experience poison frog venom, and to do copious amounts of entheogenic psychedelics with the crazy shamans of Peru. So we're going to continue our little story about going deep into the jungle and doing some consciousness expansion experiments and some exploration with this blend of ayahuasca tea, this psychedelic tea that releases within you a stream of consciousness that you've never experienced before. And in a purgative, really, or you're throwing up and you're having diarrhea within hours.
Can we play back the audio on that?
Oh, we do have that audio.
We do have that audio.
100% have that audio, and I have literally had anticipation boner about listening to you fucking audibly exercise those demons in the middle of an experience. Like, I had to stifle audible laughter from that.
Yeah. When that actually happened, fast forwarding, I think it was like 2 in the morning, Ben and I actually woke up out of our own little realms, rolled over, looked at each other, and started laughing because we heard you puke.
Yeah.
That night,
it was a couple of yucks. It was good.
We laughed with pride, though.
I think I heard the shamans laughing too.
They were probably laughing. That night was. I mean, I didn't puke all week until Friday night. But Friday night was.
You had some butt pukes.
We'll get to. Yeah, we had some butt pukes, but we will get to. And it's a moving experience. I mean, when you sit down on that
purge too.
on that toilet, when you sit down on that toilet, it is you are getting rid of some deep dark bullshit that you've been carrying with you for a long time.
In every sense of the word.
Yeah. And so we get to day 1 of ayahuasca camp.
Ayahuasca camp?
Day first.
Yeah.
And after everybody's done puking in buckets.
After we stick toad venom in an arm.
It was a frog venom. We smoked the toad venom on Thursday.
Tomato potato.
So here's how they do it, though. Here's how Arcana does it, right? You get down there, and they're partnered with these ancient shamans who are, like you said, they were the oldest...
The Shipibo tribe is existed for millennia.
Yeah, so the Shipibo tribe has been doing ayahuasca forever, and they might be the tribe that figured it out originally, but I don't know. But they figured out the 2 plants that need to be put into a pot and boiled, and then creates this tea that you drink that has these psychedelic effects because it's based on the compound N,N-dimethyltryptamine, which is one of the most powerful psychedelic compounds on the planet.
And one of the most prevalent.
Because it's in everything. It's like in the grass outside, it's in the trees, it's created by our bodies and our heart and our liver, and
it's in the acacia plants and Egyptian lungs. Hieroglyphics.
Yeah, right.
It's in the Mimosa hostilis and all of the Middle Eastern Zoroastrian traditional portrayal of plant medicine. Yeah.
And it's theorized that it's made also in our pineal gland. They found it in the pineal gland of rats, but not yet in humans because you can't exactly stick a needle inside a living human brain to
right.
There's some ethics about that. And DMT is a very controlled substance. It's like Schedule 1. There's no medical benefit to it except we're all generating it, and it's a life-sustaining chemical that we have to have, and we're all carrying. And if they blood tested any of us right now, we'd go down for having DMT in our systems because it's fucking required for survival. Mm-hmm. And so
here's my thing. I got to jump in because, and Sean, I know you've heard my little soapbox here is, pump the brakes.
Yeah.
1,500 years ago, anyone that said we weren't the center of the universe went to jail or was hung.
Yes.
1,000 years ago, and I have these switch. Anyone who said the Earth wasn't flat, even though there's people who say it's flat now, 1,000 years ago, anyone who said the Earth wasn't flat would go to jail. So let's just pump the brakes on what we think we know now. And for the rest of humanity, let's pump the brakes in the moment, about what we think we know.
Right. Yeah, because we don't know shit.
We're still animals.
Especially about the brain.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much we don't fucking know.
What does the brain know about itself?
Right. Yeah. Not a fucking lot.
Let's get weird about that.
You guys want to hear a fun fact?
That's so meta.
Yeah.
This pineal gland is allegedly the third eye, right?
That's true. And even from an ancient Egyptian...
The Eye of Ra.
Yeah, the Eye of Ra, or the Eye of Horus, is a side view of it is the pineal gland cut in half. You haven't seen that picture?
No.
Oh, it's fucking amazing.
Geometrically, it's the same?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And so it's basically the side view, and they call it the third eye. And in humans, it reacts to light that we pick up via our eyes.
Because it's built out of photoreceptors.
Because it's built out of photoreceptors. Visible light. And in reptiles...
So that's what it looks like, a side view? That's cool.
And in reptiles, there's an actual cornea in that fucking area of the brain with a retina and the whole thing. They have a fucking third eye in the middle of their fucking brain.
That new idea literally just made my brain tickle. That is so cool.
So
it is.
Why the fuck would something buried in the middle of your goddamn skull have photoreceptors?
Right. Well, it's connected with melatonin.
We evolved.
Yeah, right.
And retain some of the functions from
because it's a fucking eye.
Well, I mean, that goes back to my point. Pump the brakes. What do we think we know? No, these are eyeballs. It's visible light. Well, you know what? I can tell you right now, from being a thermographer, which is the study of thermal radiation, that there are way more spectrums of light that happen that we know of.
Like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah, give or take. Yeah. But that we don't see.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
What, are you going to go pee?
What? No.
You're getting your drink on?
Yeah, I'm freshening my fucking beverage.
And by the way, we're drinking today thanks to like a pseudo sponsor, really. It's called Killcliff, which is a brand new sports drink, right? That they sent us a fridge and we have it in our studio.
If by brand new you mean like been around since I was probably in elementary school, yeah.
So 3 years old.
So yeah, it's been. I mean, they're just gaining momentum though, and they're like starting to displace Red Bull and shit like that. Because I think it's a hell of a lot better than Red Bull.
Yeah, for the record, the first Killcliff, and to be painfully honest, that I've ever had is about an hour ago, and I am a big fan.
Yeah, I love it so far. And they support the Navy SEAL Foundation, which is kind of cool.
Because
and they were like,
Mr. Cliff himself was a SEAL.
Right, and so is the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that work with them are ex-military. And they were like, dude, you guys are doing Two Seals and a Walrus podcast? We're in.
Killcliff may be new in the farmland in fucking bumfuck nowhere, North Carolina, but it's pretty much old news in Atlanta.
Right, yeah. Well, they're from Atlanta, right?
It's an Atlanta company. It's he's all over the place there. But
you know what? I've never really liked Red Bull. I mean, nothing against them. I've tasted it before, and I thought it was okay. But
as much as I love the taste of pennies, you know,
which is why I always go straight for the butthole.
All right, so we go into the ayahuasca camp, and they've got these Shipibo guys who have been like mixing ayahuasca for literally countless generations,
12,000 years or something.
I think they told us at least they have a recorded history or oral history of 10,000 years.
We went to the source and we went legit because the fucking experience down there. First of all, this is after you imbibe the tea. The songs that they sing, the Ikaros and the chants and the prayers and that they do in like 3-part harmony. It's like magic. It's like they wind up singing individual songs, but the individual songs wind up working together in a musical fashion that is like 3-part harmony or a 3-part rounding with 3 different melodies that just fucking jive together so well, and it makes the experience fucking amazing.
That reminds me, did you get audio on them?
I did.
So you got, and I remember you set up the speakers at the end.
Yeah, the
you got
microphones.
You got Shantanu's, Ikaros.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then you got all 3 of them at the same time?
Yes.
There's no possible way you can pull up a soundbite of that. Is there? Like a quick one of the in-between where they're all 3 chanting?
I will put that in post. We will take a break right now, and we will give you a little shot of that in post-production. and we'll start now. Okay, so they set this up as the shamans sit across from you in the Ikura, or in the Maloka. And so they sit across, and they have the ayahuasca already brewed. Like, they have it in, like, it was a little bit of a bummer for me, because, like, they brought it in fucking water bottles or whatever.
You know what's funny? I thought about that too, and I was like, oh man,
What do you guys got against thermoses?
I was like, does that lessen the experience? The fact that this like process and experience that's like 10,000 years old is brought out in a plastic container and made 100 days ago.
Like, they come out,
Thermos brand thermoses.
They come out and they go, here's your ayahuasca.
This is sacred. It's like, oh man, I want to drink this from a chalice.
Thanks for the industrial revolution, assholes.
Damn you, Ford.
So the taste of this stuff, when they bring you up one at a time, and then
if you shamans, like dirt, you'll love it.
Yeah, the shamans decide how much you drink, right? So first off, the first night they decide to give you a little bit of a dose, not anything introducing, like no hero doses from night one.
Yeah, and my understanding of this is that everyone's dosage is different.
Yes.
And it's literally based on the person. It's nothing to do with the past experience of psychedelics or anything else. It is literally the person. Because, and sorry to cut you off, but, you know, there was a woman next to me who was, you know, literally half my size.
Yeah.
It ended up that her and I required individually a much larger dose than most people to even feel anything.
Yeah.
And just to build upon, I'm gonna go ahead and piggyback on that.
Make sure you caveat after.
Yeah, I'm gonna caveat this piggyback.
Yeah. All tangent.
Yeah, nice. So I have an unusually high metabolism for toxic chemicals introduced into my system.
Right.
It's not a cool thing because I have to break the bank to get hammered.
Right.
I would trade it for any 12-year-old white girl's tolerance any day.
Right.
But it's a genetic thing. So, with that being said, I took like half of what most people dosed and about a quarter of what Doug dosed for therapeutic effect and about a fifth or a sixth of what Sean dosed to stop being a pussy. So, and that was plenty.
Yeah.
And that was, it was what I would consider more than enough. So
yeah,
it was a strange experience going from.
So for you, like everything that you've done in the past is high dose to get you going, and then with the ayahuasca, it was low dose, and it got you rocking.
Not just sent me over, but also like by the time I got back to my fucking mat, I was already going cross-eyed.
Wow.
Yeah, like I think the longest time it took the ayahuasca at any point during the week, the longest period of time I had to wait for the onset. Like 8 minutes.
Wow. That's quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because I got to give you a clue. On night one, and we'll probably have the audio of this in future.
It's going to be good.
When I went back to lie on my mat, I was waiting for the effect, and I fucking fell asleep and was snoring loud enough.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. The son came over
audio.
and tapped on my shoulder. And I was like, yes? And he goes, you're snoring a little bit.
You're disturbing the ceremony.
Please leave.
Which is funny because when you were screaming while you were vomiting, it didn't stop you from disturbing the ceremony.
Call it bomb screaming?
Yeah. Can we please do that? Oh,
God, I want that audio.
That's all in the same soundbite as the fucking chant. It's like, what are we doing? And it's like 3.5 hours in.
I know.
I know for a fact because I was very, very present when it happened, and I was so happy.
Yeah, I think Ben and I were just coming out of it when we heard.
So anyway, they give us this stuff that tastes like the ayahuasca did not taste pleasant, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be after all the stories that I heard about how shitty it tasted. I was just like, oh, this is a really shitty V8 drink. This is really like apple cider vinegar mixed with V8 was the best analogy that I could make. And that's kind of what it tasted like to me. And it didn't really make me want to throw up until the last night when I had the fucking hero dose that was bigger than, like, the shamans were like, really? You want that much? And
I can see people that have done it, more than a handful of times, why it makes them nauseous. You know, because when your brain associates certain things with it, whether it's, good, bad, or just kind of extreme in general, like, I could see why it would make people nauseous just from either the smell or the taste.
Yeah.
But for the 4 ceremonies we did, it didn't bother me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't pay to drink it out at a bar, but...
Right. Did you puke
but
at
we
all?
did pay to drink it, by the way.
No time during the week.
No, so I didn't puke, and that's the conversation we had as well. Ben and I never puked at all. I did purge out of the other end two nights, the last 2 ceremonies.
Because everybody gets diarrhea, too.
Yeah.
All right, so what was... how long was the onset for you, Doug, on the first night? Oh, actually, your first night.
I had an interesting experience.
Okay.
So... the dosage I received the first ceremony was not enough to do anything for me.
Right.
So I spent about 6 hours meditating. I could have gone up and asked for a second dose, but for whatever reason, I just thought that if I focus enough, meditate, breathe properly, that I would get there.
Yeah.
Wasn't the case.
Okay.
But it was a good experience. I wouldn't probably ever meditate again for 6 hours straight. So the next day, I was speaking to Heather, and we were discussing how I think her and I were the only ones that didn't feel a thing. And she goes, "Did you feel like you did something wrong?" And I responded, "No, I just kind of made the assumption that maybe I'm immune to it."
Right.
And she goes, "Oh, I made the assumption that I did something wrong." And she goes,
"Ooh,
I need to think about that."
Wow.
And then we went into a really cool conversation of, that's interesting that my reaction was that I thought I was the first person ever to be immune to it. Her reaction was, I did something wrong. Something's wrong with me.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. So we pulled that thread for a while.
Wow, that's cool.
And she what was really cool was I wasn't really aware of my own bias.
Right.
That, I was just immune to it.
Right.
Which was interesting to think about.
Right.
And she wasn't aware of her bias of something's wrong with me.
Right.
And that the dichotomy of our reactions made us both think about it.
We're the polar opposites of the same reaction.
Yep.
And it could have been somewhere in between for both of you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that's really kind of highlights why we're doing this podcast, why we're talking here is, this default network that you build, where you are, your experiences really make a big difference in ways that are kind of hard to measure.
Right.
But such a simple example was my gut reaction being, I'm just immune to it.
Right.
Her gut reaction being, something's wrong with me.
Right.
Well, that's because...
It's
because she is fucked up. She did something wrong.
And by the way, we're making fun of a friend who we love, and she loves us. So
I think she fucked up.
We went down into the
Ayahuasca
jungle
camp.
of Amazon as 3 friends. We wound up with making 7 or 8 friends. It was amazing. It was an awesome experience for the whole group. And we had a fun time. We cracked everybody up with our fucking humor and
a few friends and a pet wolf.
Yeah, and a pet wolf, right? Exactly.
C-dub. For the record, for those of you who don't know much about ayahuasca, and again, I did zero research of ayahuasca going into it. I walked away thinking, "Wow, that is medicine," and holy shit, that is not something I would do for fun.
No, it is not.
Yeah, just to be clear,
it is not a recreational
there's a
experience.
reason why it is known as medicine.
Yes. Well, Ben, what was your first night like on ayahuasca with the normal dose, with the regular introductory dose that the shamans kind of gave everybody?
So, my name's Ben, and I like to party.
Ben, tell your story.
So, if I had it my way, I'd have a fucking main line of ayahuasca on a fucking pump. Because that shit is tight. So the first night is like they said, for all argument's sake, an introductory dose.
Right.
They do that for people that go there for therapy because they may or may not have had exposure to the physical sensation.
And there are people there for all kinds of reasons. Like some people are there for addiction, some people are there to just figure out their relationship shit, some people are there to figure out, what's wrong in their life with their job or whatever the fuck it is. They're
but
just
the
down
majority of people are not what they consider psychonauts.
Right.
Going there for a fucking party.
Right.
And I think I might be more in that category than the
right, because we went down.
Any of the others.
Yeah, we went down there with an express intent to explore consciousness expansion and what this would do for that mission.
Because we like to party. So,
ayahuasca camp, woo!
So, I get it. there's a lot of validity to the moderate dose out of the gate.
Yeah.
Traditionally, nobody in the tribe partakes in ayahuasca.
Right.
Whenever they do healing, they reserve the ayahuasca imbibing specifically for the shaman.
Right.
And the shaman assesses the patient. So this is a very, very new thing, and they are very careful about it.
The Shipibo people have only been working with them in sharing their ayahuasca for 4 years.
Okay.
So we are fortunate enough to experience them in very early.
Yeah, we hit them when they were operating, like firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have their shit dialed in. I mean, they're getting better you can tell they're making improvements and whatnot. But
100%.
I mean, it was amazing. The trip down there was fucking amazing. The experience was amazing. The people were amazing. It was a good experience overall. And, I understand why they're rated number 1. And we get absolutely nothing for plugging these guys, by the way. At least not yet. We'll
fucking better.
We'll probably give them a call and say, hey, you can throw us a free trip or something.
Yeah, we got
to. Honestly, we get no
you guys off.
kickbacks.
So.
Yeah,
we got no. At least at the moment, we get no kickbacks. No.
This is just us actually just sharing our opinion.
But if you guys want us to get kickbacks, then fucking tag your boys in, because we might all go together.
I'll tell you this, and that's one of the reasons.
That's a real thing.
That's one of the reasons that we need to get people on the list earlier, is because we're going to make very limited offers to a smaller number of people who are, if they're interested in going with us, like to fucking Peru,
and meet certain requirements.
Yeah. So you got to meet certain requirements to go with us and whatnot. There's going to be a screening process, etc. But if you want to be in that list of folks that we consider to take with us on our next fucking Peru trip, TwoSealsAndAWalrus.com, get on the fucking email list, because the sooner you're on there, those higher folks, those earlier folks get better perks.
And you're talking about potentially discounted or maybe free trip.
Yeah, totally.
So
totally, because we're going to do some amazing shit.
Yeah, so fucking let's do this. I want a free trip to the fucking jungle. All right.
Yeah.
Arcana, if you're listening, send it.
Hey, Jose, we got you, dog. Yeah, so my experience, like, again, not to beat that dead horse, but where's the stick,
Right.
I don't want to say I like to do drugs, but I've been high a lot.
Right.
And this experience was not comparable to being intoxicated. Mm-hmm. For lack of a better word.
The ayahuasca experience?
Right. It was not comparable to being intoxicated. It was not what people, like, it was by definition, a psychosomatic response. However, it was not the standardized perception of a psychosomatic response. There were very, very, very prevalent pieces of this psychosomatic response that were absurd, and there were very, very, very prevalent pieces that were grounded in reality so fundamentally that it's impossible to ignore.
Right.
I could see my own hand, I could touch my own hand, I could touch the wall.
Right.
And there was no goddamn roof.
You're right. That was one of the coolest things ever.
I could see across the room. I know it was pitch black, but it was broad fucking daylight. And then when I closed my eyes, I saw the same shit.
Yeah.
So
that was amazing.
The blurred lines was a very, very unique concept, and that was a fun exploration on the first night. And the first night was probably the most visual. Yeah, definitely. Not probably. The first night was definitely the most visual. The most moderate dose was the most visually stimulating and experiential process I've ever gone through as far as psychedelics.
Nice.
Bar none.
Hey guys, we hope you're enjoying this episode enough to forgive this 10-second break. But if you'd like to thank us for this content and support the show, or thank the boys for their service to the SEALs, and or just be cool and buy us dinner and some beers, you can do so at patreon.com. Search for Two Seals and a Walrus, and your contributions will go to the production of this show. And as always, we thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
But it was more introspective. It was more showing you the depths of your own mind. It was like...
Not the first night.
No, not the first night? Okay.
No, first night
was just visuals for you?
The first night was like, yo, this is what I can do.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, you want to see some shit?
Yeah.
You came here for a fucking party?
Come and play.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you think you see psychedelics? You think you know your mind? You think you've seen some shit?
Right.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Boom!
Yeah. I got a big portion of that as well. That's how it came on for me as well. Is the first thing I noticed was the fucking ceiling of the roof of the Maloka fucking disappeared, and I could see all the fucking stars.
Like fucking what?
Yeah, I know.
Sounds like a really cool first night, guys. As I meditated sober for 6 hours.
Doug was over there contemplating about why he came out here in the fucking first place.
Yeah, actually, there was one point. There was one point I said to myself, "Wow, ayahuasca's really fucking cool." As I sat there meditating, while I heard people like breathing weird and yawning weird, wondering if they were feeling anything.
I was sitting next to him, farting on his face, and he didn't even know.
It was weird.
right, so the first night was like hyper visual, and it was almost like a dog and pony show of the capability of this chemical in my body.
Yeah.
And it almost looked like it was trying to prove to me that I had no fucking clue what I was about to get into.
But by the way, interesting enough, a lot of people have a similar first experience with ayahuasca that seems to be this weird little intro, let me show you, have fun type of thing.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
And that's what I got too.
Yeah.
So, I'm like the fucking ayahuasca Andy Warhol or whatever, but
you made some drawings.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I made some drawings because I had never been so overwhelmed.
You see my watercolors?
Yeah. I like my watercolors. You guys want to see Bailey's?
What are you doing in my waters, boy?
You guys want to see what it looks like to drink Bailey's from our show? So, this is one of the things that I drew because I didn't really know how to explain what I was going through. Fuck, how do these cameras work? God damn it. All right. So, for those of you who aren't geniuses like we are, this is... God, go back to it, Sean. Fuck. So that's the corner of what I could only assume is a building, maybe.
Okay.
And then those things that look like planks are planks.
You can tell it's a cactus by the way it is.
Those things that look like poles are poles. And then those things that look like cactuses are cactuses. However, this is where it gets tricky. The stuff that looks like waves are waves. Because the ground was all wavy and shit. So it looked like a cactus ocean. With
So this is what you saw the first night?
Yeah, so this is one of the myriad of things. And... yeah, we'll continue.
Yeah, did you create it, or was it shown to you? What was the...
That'd be a fucking phenomenal question to have answered.
Yeah.
And Exhibit B, this looks like a spoon that somebody who may have an extra chromosome took a bite out of or something.
Kind of looks like a giant sperm, but...
And then maybe like some kind of a pyramid or something. I don't know. I don't really know what was going on here, but I did notice some striking resemblance to the Shipibo pattern, which I'm sure Sean can jam up in the fucking post-pro. But the thing is I'm fucking window licking retarded when it comes to drawing, so this is what I saw. and it's what my mind came up with at the end of it. So it looks like a spoon, but when we show you Shipibo pattern, you'll figure it out. You'll sort it out.
Yeah, and so what Ben's talking about is that they have like a number of like very ornate tapestries and artwork that you can find all over Peru, and then you wind up going to do ayahuasca and you see a lot of this stuff that you didn't see because it's not like we went art shopping and then went into the jungle and then re-saw what we saw elsewhere.
Right.
It's like we went into the jungle, we did some ayahuasca, then we came back out and we saw all the fucking art and said, holy shit,
when we went
there's
art shopping,
everything that we fucking saw.
I think half the time
I had to walk out of shops.
Yeah, half the time we spent being like, oh my God, I saw that.
I
oh my God, I saw
had to
that.
exit the shop because my heart was palpitating.
Chicken or the egg?
It's like, the fuck?
Right.
Yeah. All right, so now on to Exhibit C. This is all from night one by BT Dubs.
Okay.
Exhibit C was probably one of the most important visual experiences I had. And it was because it showed me...
Dog's going. He's like,
showed me this pretty legit Venom-esque orb.
You check out the dog?
Show me this like Venom-esque orb, and this thing was like all tangly and amorphous and liquid suspended in fucking time and space, and it was creepy crawly. You seemed to have a little bit of a life force, like you perceive life force or whatever. It's very, very, very obviously, from a feeling perspective, very obviously the entity that occupies the ayahuasca.
Yes, no, that was moving around, like that was just a snapshot of the thing that was wriggling and whatnot in your mind.
For those of you that have seen the Venom movie, it was like the Venom thing, but obviously a little more pointy than circly.
Right.
And then for those of you that haven't, it could be in fucking turds and go see a fucking good movie.
Yeah, because Venom is an amazing movie.
Right.
And it's on point regarding like ego and true self, false self.
Too much. So. Yeah, that's another conversation. We'll save that for an episode about fucking Marvel. But so that last orb is a pretty important thing, and keep that in mind for when we get to day 2, because that's when
it really decided to.
Yeah, that's when shit went left.
Went left field.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. No, my first night was very much like Doug was explaining, in that it was kind of an introduction, and what you said as well. It was like my mind, because my perception of this, understanding the human mind to the level that I do, whatever level that is, I don't know if it's a lot or a little, but I understand the multiple levels of consciousness and subconsciousness that exist within our minds, and our waking consciousness can only handle a certain amount of information, and only gets, like, you don't get to beat your heart, you don't get to control your immune system, you don't get to, because it would be too much information. And so we have like a number of levels of delineation, and science has proven that we have multiple levels of consciousness and subconsciousness. That, when you do a split brain patient, it's like you ask somebody a question, they'll give you two answers written out in simultaneous order with two different hands writing two different answers of two different people in your head answering the same one question. So, and that's normally when you cut the corpus callosum, the left brain can't talk to the right brain, and they can't figure out one answer, so they come up with two. Well, that's multiple levels of consciousness that you have. Well, this ayahuasca stuff, this dimethyltryptamine active ingredient, is the thing that allows your conscious awareness to jump multiple levels down into your subconscious and have a direct communication, a direct conversation with a much wiser level of you.
Well, it generates what we could call a conference call.
Yeah, totally. And this level of you seemingly has connection out into a grander universal intelligence or a grander universal consciousness. But that the compound itself is the thing that allows your waking awareness to directly communicate with a deeper level of you that knows a fuck ton more about your wisdom than you do. It's like we're the dumb one at the top, and the more levels we get down into consciousness, we get smarter, down to the point where we get to two different cells that come together and create a whole fucking body, including our brain and the whole thing. When mom and dad conceive us, those two cells have the intelligence of a fucking human body in it. That's a huge level of intelligence there.
Insanely huge.
Yeah. Well, so we're the dumb ones at the top. Well, the dimethyltryptamine allows for our waking awareness to connect with a higher wisdom within us that's been there the whole fucking time. It's like our best friend who's been with us through thick and thin, who knows our entire life, who understands every experience that we've had, that's been there the whole time and has a different perspective on things than we did. But the first night for me, it was just that connection with that, and the brain showing me at a subconscious level, oh, you don't understand your fucking mind at all. Here's the cool shit I can do. Let me show you what the fuck I can do. And it blew my mind on the visuals and the ability to tune into things that I didn't even think. I mean, it was like, it was showing me some imaginative visuals that were like, that would be impossible to fucking create through the industrial process of production and whatnot here on Earth. Like, we couldn't even fucking do it. And my brain's like,
like alien civilizations, technology that doesn't exist yet, like shit like that. Yeah, dude, I totally understand. Yeah, and that's cool. I was wondering, I was curious about that, your experience, given the fact that you've kind of
Yeah, I've been down and through. I've been through the slip and slide.
You dug pretty deep up in it before, endogenously. So I was for everybody watching and just figuring this out, we actually haven't really discussed this. We were saving this discussion specifically for this.
Yeah. So true.
I was very curious about what your experience would have been like from your perspective.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was like, okay, so the enlightenment experience allows you to have multiple levels of your waking awareness, slip and slides down through multiple levels of your subconscious awareness, and you get to touch everything, and then you get to meet the cells in your body that make up your body's intelligence, and then you slide out into universal consciousness and the intelligence and the knowledge that creates absolutely everything in the universe, and you become that thing, and then you become one with the creator type of thing. This wasn't that.
You did describe my Thursday night, though.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like literally.
Awesome. We're going to talk about that very soon.
You hit the wave tops my Thursday.
It's weird because while you were gone, he said he just shit himself the whole time.
No.
Nice. Wait, you're not supposed to do that?
That was your Thursday.
But this isn't that. This isn't the slip and slide down through consciousness out into universal consciousness. This is, boom, you slip and slide down into a level that you stop at. And then you communicate with a level of subconsciousness that you're kind of locked into a conversation with. But then that can go wide. Mm-hmm. It can go super wide. And it takes you wide and shows you how fucking powerful it is. And how imaginative it is. And what it can do. And what it can access and what it does have access to, that you can then ask it interactive questions so you don't lose agency. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing that surprised me, right? It's like with enlightenment, you lose agency, you lose all sense of self, ego death, the whole thing goes kaput, You are no longer you. You think you're dead. You're out in the fucking center of the universe. You're one with everything. You're one with God or the creator, whatever it is you want to call it, source, energy, consciousness. And there is no more you. But in the ayahuasca experience, there is a you. And you remain agent, and you remain the ability to control it to a certain extent and interact with it on a very cogent level, which I thought was amazing, because it was like you get to go down deep into a subconscious level that has access to the everything. But at the same time, it's like regulated, but and also it's like, I'm going to show you all the stuff you've been missing about yourself.
Yeah, I always say, this is one of my little Dougisms, but there's two kinds of people in the world. Those
people that like butt stuff and liars.
Well, that's one of my sayings, if we're being honest. But it's that again, there's two kinds of people.
People that cut themselves with their knife and people that haven't yet.
Okay, again with another one of my actual Dougisms. But the one that is applicable to this is that there's two kinds of people. Kind of ruin the start off here. There is two kinds of people. Those with skeletons in their closet and liars.
Right.
The human existence is what it is. You don't exist without things you have to deal with.
Right.
It's hand in glove.
Yes.
You can't help it. But what ayahuasca does is if you have not faced that fucking shit in your head, it makes you face it.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you won't go any deeper until you face it.
Oh, yeah.
But it gives you the opportunity to hash out things that are potentially, traumatic or abrasive, or things that are, you're pretty adverse to dealing with. And it does it with such a profound serotonin surge that you address it in a positive light, no matter how traumatic.
Yeah.
And it can be a rough experience, but when you get to the other end, you were so happy for it. You were better for it. There was no one in your group that was like,
happy.
F this was horrible. I'm a worse person. Everyone was just so profound and happy.
No matter how devastating the
even
light.
if they described like a really tough experience on ayahuasca, they were like, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that for this.
Well, that's kind of what they explained to us going into it. It was like, ayahuasca will not give you what you want. It will give you what you need.
Man, I honestly didn't believe them when they said that.
I didn't believe them either.
Yep.
But I
didn't believe them.
I mean, that's exactly what I got, is what I needed, because there was, post-enlightenment, like you kind of drift through life, and it's amazing how much bullshit that doesn't, it's just kind of water off a duck's back, right? You no longer have to deal with the bullshit of a lot of your negative reactions. I mean, there's some things that want to pop up and, make you angry or whatever that you can choose to use. Anger can be a useful emotion. Fear can be a useful emotion. So you kind of have
There's utility for sure.
Yeah, there's a utility there that you can choose to use or not. But then overall, there's a lot of stuff that just kind of rolls off your back. But at the same time, I'll say this. The mind never stops trying to create ego and create sense of self. And so it tries to put on the I'm enlightened fucking cloak, which then starts to pile on a bunch of bullshit. And then you get into your patterns and you start to have this life of, where your brain falls into a different pattern.
A new default.
A new default
mode.
Which is better than before. But at the same time, I didn't realize how much bullshit had started piling up after a couple of decades of walking around in this higher consciousness space. But that was still bullshit that I needed to fucking deal with, that I hadn't really dealt with. And some of it was connected with my personal relationship stuff with, one of the things that you guys told me that was news to me that was actually building up in my life is that Gandhi, as much as everybody loved Gandhi.
Yeah, I remember that conversation we had before the last ceremony.
Yeah. Everybody loved Gandhi. And Gandhi loved the world, and Gandhi had infinite, unconditional love for everybody, but he was always focused out on helping the world, and his family fucking hated him.
And he was farsighted.
Because he was
with his love.
Yeah, was farsighted with his love and was never focused on his family. And truth be told, I had some of that shit going on here.
And for the record, you can look this up and see that there's and again, this is not to downplay his role or impact on the world, but people being what we are, which is just fathomable.
Yeah.
His family wasn't the biggest, his immediate family wasn't the biggest fan of his.
Yeah.
Being so outward focused.
Yeah. And I had some of that going on, truthfully. And then the first night of ayahuasca showed me that. And I was able to fucking come home and fix the shit that I had kind of started to fuck up because I was so farsighted. I was so like, how can I fucking help the world get over their bullshit? And I wasn't attending enough to the stuff here at home. And I mean, literally that fucking Amazon trip probably lengthened my fucking marriage to indefinite, where there was probably we'll discuss it when our son graduates high school to find out whether we want to, hang out together for a while. It's like there's no question now that we want to hang out indefinitely, and because we fixed the bullshit that was going on, that was part of the pile up of the crap that I hadn't even seen as part of the, wanting to help the world bullshit, right? There's, you got to take care of your fucking home as well, right? And so
got to make your bed.
Yeah, and so that first night,
I think that's a McChrystal,
gave me a really fucking clear, concise visual view into what I needed to pay attention to, because I started to focus around on different things and explore, and then my mind always brought it back to, you realize what's going on with your wife? And it kept bringing me back there, and I was like, all right, let's look at it. Yeah. And it was tough, but then I was like, you know what? My God. How fucking blind have I been to, the slow slide towards mediocrity that you've allowed this to become in your relationship, where everything else in your life is fucking amazing. The transitions that you're helping people make in their lives are fucking amazing. And you're letting your own personal life become mediocre. Fuck that. Your fucking marriage and your relationship with your wife, your relationship with your son, your relationship with your foster kids can be fucking amazing as well. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And that woke me up to that fact. And so in that jungle that first night, I almost felt like I had been playing a man, like a boy playing a man for 49 fucking years.
Well, let's be honest, we'll be forever 12-year-olds.
Yeah, totally.
Would you say you were like Christian Bale playing Bruce Wayne as Batman?
I believe that was in Inception.
Would you say that you are having trouble concentrating?
But I think that goes to everything else. Is you could be the quote unquote most enlightened human being.
Yeah.
It is still active work. It is still an active assessment of yourself.
It is.
Those around you, your behavior, your own emotions.
It is.
And the moment you stop thinking you need to assess those of yourself, it's the moment you stop progressing.
Yeah, exactly. And so that first night showed that to me, and it was like I graduated into being a man, and being and understanding that I could have it all, literally. I could, help people and be transformational in people's lives and do all this cool shit and show people how their mind works and write these amazing books or whatever the fuck it is. And then also be a good dad and also be a good father or a good husband and have an epic home life, as well as, being a person who tries to help the world and succeeds sometimes.
And not to be cheesy, actually, whatever, call it what you want. That's part of the reason why I think all three of us individually and as a group are motivated to do this podcast, is because on our own as individuals we have realized that improvement, happiness, and perspective are things that need to be actively worked on.
Yes.
And that's how you reach an increased level of happiness. That's how you're allowed to help people around you better. And that's what we want to share.
Yes.
Is those perspectives that increase your ability to perceive things in a better way and actually improve yourself and those around you.
Yeah, because a secret that Ben has
is his micro penis.
No, not that secret.
That's not a secret.
No, that's everybody knows it.
It's a tiny secret.
A secret that Ben has.
Since Sean's an asshole, he told everybody about me showing that on national TV. So everybody knows that. It's not a secret.
I believe Discovery Channel didn't pay a whole lot for editing.
No, one pixel blurring is not a difficult task.
Ben was on Naked and Afraid on Discovery Channel.
We already got that covered. Yeah,
and then we covered that in the first episode. We want to cover that in the episode, and we want to cover that in every episode to make sure that you tune in for Ben's fuzzy penis.
The difference is I don't get paid every time Sean mentions it. If you guys talk about his book all the time, he actually gets some. And hidden bonus, I'm actually just here for the money. I got a pretty dope outlook on life. Like, I'm not really worried about it.
But here's the secret that Ben has, is that he's a good human being.
Yeah, Ben and I talk about that net positive.
It's funny because I don't actually...
No, but here's the thing.
I don't actually buy into... I don't subscribe to good or bad. I think it's polarized.
Yeah, it is polarized. But you're a combat medic, Navy SEAL combat medic and a sniper, and trained to kill and all this other stuff. But you walk around with fucking Narcan and have saved lives on the streets of Atlanta with people who have fucking, like, strangers who have fallen into overdoses, and nobody fucking knows that until right now, that you've saved probably a dozen lives of fucking overdoses of individuals who you just fucking come across. And that's
sorry, Ben, we're selling you out.
And that's why we're here.
So it's not to help people understand how good I am?
No.
Okay.
No.
Fuck. Well, then why
We
you
don't
guys
have
keep
enough.
talking about that shit?
We don't have enough storage.
Then why
storage
you guys
room for
bring that
that.
shit up? All right, fuck it. I'm lost now. Whatever we were talking about, let's go. Apparently, I'm Jesus, and they're doing something with, fentanyl or gray people or whatever. All right.
No.
Yeah,
But I mean,
Be my
no,
tea.
you were out. No, you were out. You were out
Jail with the C.
Always
peeing.
sunny quote.
You were peeing with your hamster bladder or whatever the fuck it was. And Doug and I were talking about the motivation of wanting to do this podcast to help people, and we wanted to make sure that you got some props that.
Oh no, I was trying to make money. Yeah, I can't be more clear about this. I like to do drugs and make money.
Well, I mean, well, you know what? Let's be real, because we get thanked for our service, and Sean, you do too, because you were in the military as well.
Well, I appreciate your service.
Yeah, I don't appreciate yours, but anyways,
I got kicked out. Nobody did.
so like getting thanked for your service. I kind of. No, I don't kind of. I absolutely cringe when I get
Yeah, I'd
thanked.
rather suck my dad's dick than get thanked for my
Oh,
service.
sorry about that. I thanked you for your service.
No, it's fine. I just have to be real. I cringe a little bit, a lot of bit when I get thanked, because, I mean, if I'm being conservative, 50% of the reason I joined is pure selfishness. I wanted to do something cool. I wanted to do something I could say was hard. Obviously, I'm saying that after the fact, as you can see, Ben.
Yeah, Ben.
So it's
Ben does the same thing. He's like,
even a selfless act.
is selfish.
Yeah.
Because you want to do it.
Because you want to do good.
Because
Yes.
true altruism
It doesn't make it
is
bad.
self-destructive.
It's just, it doesn't make it bad. I just have to point that out.
And
Yeah.
that doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. But true altruism is self-destructive.
You think so? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
definitively. Not I think.
Well, but
By
it's
definition, it
also
is.
very selfish as well, because you're wanting to be altruistic
So that's
in
not
your
true
actions.
altruism.
So you're also defending self in that action.
That's not true altruism.
It is.
Selflessness is doing things for others at the expense of self, which by definition is self-destructive. That's altruism.
But that's your
Because
want.
hashtag I do charity.
You're attached to the fact that you want to help other people, and that altruism is a defense of self
And
characteristic.
it doesn't lessen the work of it. It's just
Right.
reality.
It just makes it equally as disgusting.
You can never break the nervous system of its natural. But you can attach to the right things or attach to the wrong things. Attaching to the right things, attaching to altruism is a good thing to attach to, because the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion, it's very easy. People get this confused all the time.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
And it's a
Crack
very
an egg of
simple.
knowledge for these folks.
It's a very simple delineation.
Parable inbound.
Sympathy is I understand that you're in pain, and then I can understand you're in pain, and I understand your pain. The empathy
It doesn't mean you care.
right.
Yeah,
Doesn't
It
mean
means
you
you
care.
understand that they
You
are.
understand they are.
I think it's important to point out.
Sympathy is the sucks to be you reaction.
The most important one, by the way.
Yeah. And then the
Is it?
second one is
I think this one's the most important.
empathy, which is your ability to put yourself in somebody's shoes and feel their pain a little bit, or imagine what it's like to be them, and to be able to have a feeling reaction to other people's pain.
To me, that's the most important.
But I think that's asinine if you're smart enough to entertain the perspective without adopting it.
I mean, I feel like we're splitting hairs.
Yeah, there's a
You're
great.
splitting hair, but the delineation between the hair that we're splitting is actually feeling the pain and just saying, yeah, that sucks.
Well, no, because I can walk by a homeless person and say, that sucks. I can walk by a homeless person on a certain day and say, damn, I
feel
need
your
to help
pain.
them.
Yeah, but here's the
I'd
third
rather not feel pain for somebody else.
Here's the third delineation. That's the line between empathy and compassion. Is that compassion is empathy with the I want to help you component.
Mm-hmm.
When you add the I want to help you component, that is compassion.
How about sympathy with compassion?
Well, sympathy
Why
is
do you have to hurt to want to help?
because you need to be able to put yourself in the other person's
No, you
shoes
need
to be able to.
entertain it without adopting it. That's the pillar of intellect.
Here's the thing you're missing, though, is when you're actually feeling certain things, your choices change.
Yeah.
When you think you could feel something,
Yeah.
it's way different than feeling it.
Right.
That's the difference.
But the idea that you could put yourself into another's mind and experience it for the sake of mitigating the burden or express a fundamental understanding that is impossible is
But
trite
that's the
if you
difference
experience
between-
compassion.
That's the difference between believing and knowing.
Bingo.
And there's a big difference.
To you, yeah. So
No.
From your perspective.
yeah, but how do you convince them that?
It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
That's not
So
the
why?
point.
So what's the difference?
That's not the point. The point is,
If it doesn't matter what they think, then just compassion's fine.
Well, right.
Okay.
Okay.
Agree to disagree.
Factually.
And for the record,
You're both right.
for the record, clearly we don't see eye to eye, and this is nothing new for us. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but I think that adds to a lot of things.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you have that I want to help you component, that's the road to compassion. You have to have that or it's not compassion, right? But at the point that you have that, the I want to help you, that's an attachment of self. That is an attachment that your mind has made. And so now, even though you're acting in a compassionate manner or a compassionate way, you are serving self because you are satisfying the I want to help you component that you've attached to that is self-serving.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
It's just exactly what it is.
Because that is exactly how the nervous system works.
Big secret, and here's the awesome part. Everybody's part of the same shit, so helping yourself is helping everyone anyway.
That's true.
Dude, totally agree.
When you do
Everything
not,
is an extension of self.
when you do not see the delineation between you and the other person, you are helping yourself and you help somebody else. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing. That's how we're going to wrap this second episode
the three
today.
facets of selfishness, and there's only one that's counterproductive. When you're selfish at the expense of others.
Mm-hmm.
When you're selfish at a net zero, and it was whatever, it doesn't matter. And when you're selfish for positive gain, but not at the expense of others, you substantiate your platform.
When you're selfish to the benefit of those around you, that's called being persuasive.
Yeah. Boom.
Yep.
All right, so we're going to wrap episode 2 there. We're going to go into our last days of ayahuasca camp in episode 3. Come back and join us for that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon and go to twosealsandwalrus.com. Get on our list because the sooner you get on the list, the better perks you're going to get, the better freebies you're going to get, the better offers to hang out with us you're going to get. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing because we're going to do some awesome stuff on this podcast. We're going to do awesome stuff out in the world.
We have not gotten into the meat potatoes yet at all.
No, not at all.
This isn't our bread and butter.
We are just getting started on this freaking thing. We have a goal of getting 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
Couple comments.
And to land into the top 200 iTunes on podcast listings. So help us get there. You're going to have to share this stuff because we're talking about some fringe stuff that sometimes will help the algorithms not put us on the suggested viewing list. You got to send this to your friends and tell them to get signed up on our list because the earlier you get there, the more cool shit you're going to get. And so we'll wrap up episode 2 and we'll pick up on episode 3 and talk about the last days of ayahuasca camp and maybe some other fun shit. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Share this shit.